Hey everyone, do-it-yourself Andrew Flockhart, and today I'm making a rustic TV stand. The first step is going to be cutting this to length. I've got it marked off right there. As you can see, I've got them 8-foot lengths, so I'm going to be cutting it in half, and I'm going to be doing 4 foot long, and then that's going to give me the right dimensions for this piece. So I've got my boards cut. I'm going to be, in order to assemble these together, I'm going to be drilling holes into the side of these and then putting in wooden doweling, and then I'm going to do the same for the other side, putting holes in that match up perfectly with this side, and then I can put these 2 boards together, and I'm going to put wood glue in between as well, and then they'll be able to stick together properly for the platform at the top. In order to make sure I've got the right size drill bit, I'm just going to drill into a scrap piece of wood, and then I'm going to try and fit the doweling into it, and if it doesn't fit, then I can go bigger or smaller or whatever, and that way I'm not drilling holes into my nice boards here and then wrecking them and then having to fiddle around with that. So I've got my drill bit figured out. I drilled 3 holes, different sizes. That biggest one that I've got there pushes in fairly easily. Easy enough that I can still put glue into it and it's gonna work out properly. Any smaller than that, I'd probably have a really tough time getting them put together. And so I'm just gonna go a little bit bigger, put some glue in it, and then shouldn't have an issue. My tabletop gluing here, I was able to cut out my other shelf for the bottom there, and I've got the wooden doweling in it already. It fits nice and snug. I've just got to do the gluing, so I'm just waiting for my clamps. So it should be another 20 minutes or so. But in the meantime, I've got my 3 2x4s. I'm going to start cutting the legs out. They're going to be, I want the table or the TV stand to be 30 inches high. So in order to make that, I'm going to be cutting these at about 29 inches because this sheet's going to be about 1 inch thick. And then once I've got those all cut to 29 inches, hopefully this will be done gluing, and then I can glue this piece. But in the meantime, I'll be able to start assembling this to the legs while I'm waiting for that piece to glue. So I've got the tabletop. I've taken the clamps off and the glue has somewhat dried on it. I'm good. I cut out a 3-foot long 2x4 here in order to put in the middle of the board just for some extra support. I know I've got the wooden doweling in there, but I'm going to put it on obviously on the underneath so that you can't see it. And it's just going to give that extra support so when stuff's laying on it, it's not going to want to fold in on itself. And yeah, it's going to help a lot. So I've got some screws here. I'm not exactly sure the length, honestly, but they fit perfectly. If you can see, they go just far enough in that they're going to be going through the 2x4 and into the top piece, but they're not going to be going in too far that they're going to be showing. And that way I'm not going to have any screw holes in the top, so it's going to look like, you know, a nice piece of wood at the top. so I've got it all sanded up. It looks really nice. It's pretty much flush, which is I'm happy with. But now I'm going to be staining this top piece. First, I'm going to be using this Minwax wood conditioner, and then once I'm done this, I'm going to use a black or a dark walnut stain. I've been using both of them in like most of my projects lately, and I've really liked the look of it, and I'm just trying to keep it consistent for our house, so I'm going to keep doing it. So I've got my second shelf cut, and then I've also got my 2 blocks that I'm going to be putting in between the legs cut. So I'm going to stain these 2 white, and then I'm going to stain this the same color. Whoops. I'm going to be staining these 2 white, and then I'm going to be staining the shelf the same color as the top piece. So I finished the legs off. I ended up putting 3 screws on either side. I plan to wood fill them and then paint over them so you can't see it at all. Just measured out to 10 inches off the ground and then made sure that they were parallel with the board next to it. And the same goes, or perpendicular, sorry. And then the same goes with the other side. And now I'm able to put this shelf. So that's what it looks like with the shelf, bottom shelf on it. I haven't screwed it in yet. But as you can see, I left a bit of a gap because I wanted to be able to see that white through on either side, just so it's not super snug in there. But yeah, it looks good. I'm just going to screw it down from the bottom and make sure that the screws aren't long enough that they go through. And that way you won't be able to see the screws at all. Alright, this is kind of hokey, but I've got 2 clamps set here. And I've just got that clamp touching the leg in order for me to figure out exactly where I'm going to be screwing and not missing. There's definitely a better way to do this, but this is first comes to mind and it just seems easy enough, so I'm going to do it that way. Alright, so I've got it assembled now. I've got the 2 screws on each leg. I'm going to be doing a coat of triple thick poly. It self-levels, which is awesome, so it fills in all the cracks and the grooves, and it just makes it really water resistant so that when people put drinks or whatever on it, then it, protects it. So I'm going to be putting that on, and then I also want to do some wood filler for these screws at the bottom. I think they're pretty obvious, so I'm going to put wood filler over top of them, and then I'm just going to repaint it white, and then you're not going to be able to tell that they were there. Alright, so there you have it. I've done the poly. Usually I would use that with a paintbrush, or I would do the whole process with a paintbrush, but unfortunately I don't have any paintbrushes left, so I just used a rag. Seemed to work just fine though. Trick is with this though, I find, is you really need to do long strokes, because once it actually dries you can still kind of see the clear coat on it a little bit. So if you just do half strokes, you can see where you've gone over the whole thing, so make sure you do it through long strokes throughout the whole piece. So for doing the wood filler here, I just put a big dab over the whole thing that I'm trying to fill. And then I have a putty knife and I just scrape it off so it's nice and flat. And if I need to play with it a little bit, I can. And I know that I'm going to be painting over this anyways. So there you go. So once the wood filler is dried, it's going to turn a bit of a white color, and then you can just paint over it. And it's going to look something like this once you're finished, where you can't really see the screw heads, and it just looks part of the wood.
Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm Do-It-Yourself Andrew Flockhart. Make sure to leave a comment and like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. It helps me out a lot. But anyways, until next time, take care.